Korean mafia boss told black wife, I'm sleeping with your best friend. If you can't handle it, leave. Part 2. Bliss hadn't slept. She'd spent the entire night at Hamilton Hotel staring at Seoul's skyline, hand pressed to her stomach, thinking about the two babies she'd lost and the one she was now fighting for. When James Chin knocked at 7 a.m. sharp, she was already dressed, composed, and ready for war. You look terrible, Chin said, walking in with coffee and a leather briefcase that screamed expensive lawyer. He was younger than she'd expected, mid-30s, sharp suit, sharper eyes that missed nothing. I look like someone who just discovered her entire life was a conspiracy. Bliss took the coffee gratefully. But I'm functional. Let's work. Chin set up his laptop on the desk, and Bliss handed him the flash drive containing everything she'd downloaded from Song's computer. Financial records, emails, calendar appointments, encrypted files I couldn't open. I can open them. Chin's fingers flew across the keyboard. My associate in Singapore specializes in digital forensics. Nothing stays hidden long. They worked in silence for 20 minutes, Chin's expression growing progressively darker as he scrolled through files. Finally, he sat back and whistled low. Bliss, your husband isn't just a criminal. He's a network. Money laundering for half of Seoul's elite. Connections to politicians, chaebols, entertainment industry. He looked at her with something like respect. This is enough to take down 20 people. Good. Bliss's voice was ice. I want them all to burn. We'll get to that. But first, Chin opened another file, and his expression shifted into something grim. We need to talk about your miscarriages. Bliss's stomach dropped. What about them? Chun turned the laptop toward her. Pharmacy records. Transactions. Minji's name repeated over and over. Misoprostol. Mifepristone. Abortion medications purchased regularly over 4 years. The dates matched perfectly with Bliss's pregnancies. The hotel room tilted. Bliss gripped the desk, coffee forgotten, as the truth detonated in her chest like a grenade. She didn't just betray you, Chin said quietly. She murdered your children. The sound that came out of Bliss wasn't quite human. It was grief and rage compressed into something primal. Her babies. Her two perfect babies who'd never had a chance because her best friend had been poisoning her. The supplements, Bliss whispered, remembering. Minji gave me prenatal supplements. Said they were from a traditional Korean doctor, better than Western vitamins. I took them every day because I trusted her. Because she held me while I cried about losing them. Her voice broke. Chun was suddenly beside her, tissues appearing from nowhere. Breathe, he ordered. I know this is devastating. But right now, you need to focus. Grief later. Strategy now. Can you do that? Bliss forced air into her lungs. Forced the tears to stop. Forced herself to become something harder than heartbreak. Yes, she said. What's the plan? Chin's smile was predatory. We destroy all of them. Systematically. Song, Minji, your mother-in-law. Everyone who thought you were too foreign, too weak, too disposable to fight back. He pulled out a legal pad, drawing 3 columns. 3-pronged attack. First, Song. We leak his financial records to Korean prosecutors and international agencies. Money laundering, tax evasion, possibly human trafficking based on some of these Bangkok connections. He's looking at serious prison time. Good. Second, Minji. 2 counts of forced abortion. In Korea, that's 15 years minimum. We have pharmacy records, timestamps, probably security footage of her giving you the supplements. Mrs. Kong will testify. Mrs. Kong knew. Bliss's voice cracked with betrayal. She suspected, was too afraid to say anything. But now she will. Chin's expression softened briefly. Complicated country, complicated loyalties. But she's on your side now. Bliss nodded, filing away the information. She'd process the pain later. Right now, she needed to be a weapon. Third, Chun continued, your monster-in-law. This is trickier. We need to prove she orchestrated everything. She did. Bliss's certainty was absolute. Minji wouldn't have access to our household without her approval. The affair, the poisoning, mother-in-law set it all up. She told me yesterday. She introduced them. Chin's eyebrows rose. She admitted that, in Korean. Probably thought I wouldn't fully understand the implications. Bliss's laugh was bitter. Joke's on her. My Korean is better than she thinks. Perfect. We'll use that. Chun made notes. But here's the critical part, Bliss. From this moment forward, you cannot show your hand. No more emotional outbursts. No more confrontations. You become a ghost. Calm, pleasant, predictable. Let them think you're broken and compliant. While we build the case. Exactly. Sun Tzu said, appear weak when you are strong. You're about to become the weakest looking woman in Seoul while systematically dismantling their entire world. Bliss felt something clicking into place. 4 years of swallowing rage had taught her how to perform compliance. Now she'd weaponize it. How long do we have? Your mother-in-law knows you're pregnant, but hasn't told Song yet. That's our window. Maybe 2 weeks before she decides the timing is right to inform him. Chun closed the laptop. We use that time to gather more evidence, secure testimonies, get your legal protections in place. And then we detonate everything at once. Criminal charges, civil suits, international investigations. A coordinated strike they can't defend against because they won't see it coming. Bliss stood, walked to the window. Seoul spread below, the city that had chewed her up and spit her out. But she wasn't finished with it yet. I need to go back, she said suddenly. Back where? The penthouse. To Song. Chun started to protest, but Bliss held up her hand. If I stay gone, he'll get suspicious. I need to go back and act like the broken wife who's accepted her place. Let him relax. Let him think he's won. Chun studied her for a long moment. You're sure you can do that? Live with him, smile at him, pretend everything's fine while knowing what he's done. Bliss thought about her babies, about Minji's fake tears, about mother-in-law's slap, about 4 years of systematic destruction disguised as marriage. I've been doing it for 4 years, she said coldly. What's 2 more weeks? Chun handed her a burner phone. Emergency line. Anything happens, you call immediately. I've also arranged for a bodyguard. Former special forces, works private security. He'll shadow you from a distance. Song won't notice because this guy is that good. His name is Marcus, former U.S. military. Been working Seoul for 10 years. Trust me. Bliss pocketed the phone and headed for the door. Bliss, Chun called. She turned. What you're about to do, going back into that environment, playing this role, it's incredibly dangerous. Are you absolutely certain? Bliss touched her stomach, thinking about the baby growing there. The baby Minji would try to kill if she got the chance. The baby Song would use to control her if he knew. The baby that was her reason for everything. I'm not going back as his victim, she said quietly. I'm going back as his reckoning. He just doesn't know it yet. She left Chun in the hotel room and took a taxi back to Cheongdam. Back to the penthouse. Back to Song, who was probably still asleep in their bed like nothing had changed. When she walked through the door, Song was making coffee, looking relieved. You came back, he said. Bliss smiled, soft, defeated, exactly what he expected. I overreacted. You were right. I need to adjust. Be more understanding. Song's shoulders relaxed. He pulled her into a hug. Bliss led him, her face pressed against his chest, breathing in his expensive cologne while thinking about pharmacy records and abortion medications and 2 babies who'd never had a chance. I'm glad you understand, Song murmured into her hair. We can make this work. Yes, Bliss agreed, her voice muffled and docile. We can make this work. Over his shoulder, she caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her eyes were cold, empty, strategic. Song had no idea he was hugging a landmine. Where in a map are you watching from? And what have you learned from this story? Mrs. Kang's pharmacy was empty when Bliss arrived at opening time. She timed it deliberately, 7 a.m., before the morning rush, when conversations could happen without audiences. The elderly pharmacist looked up from organizing inventory, and her face crumpled with something like relief mixed with dread when she saw Bliss. I wonder when you would come, Mrs. Kang said in Korean, her voice heavy. You knew. Bliss closed the door behind her, flipping the sign to closed with shaking hands. You knew what Minji was doing to me. Mrs. Kang's silence was confession enough. How long? Bliss's voice was eerily calm, the kind of calm that preceded hurricanes. How long did you watch her buy abortion medication while I was losing babies and you said nothing? 2 years. Mrs. Kang's hands trembled as she gripped the counter. From your first pregnancy. She came in asking about misoprostol, said it was for a friend in trouble. I believed her at first. Then she kept coming back. Different medications. Always cash. Always secretive. And you didn't think to warn me? Bliss's composure cracked slightly. I came to you crying after each miscarriage. You gave me tea and sympathy while knowing someone was murdering my children. I tried. Mrs. Kang's eyes filled with tears. I told you to make different choices, to leave, to consider if staying was worth the cost. Cryptic advice isn't a warning. Bliss slammed her hand on the counter. You should have said, "Your friend is poisoning you." I was afraid. The words burst out of Mrs. Kong like a dam breaking. The Song family, they are powerful. Connected. Mrs. Song came to me 3 years ago, told me to fill Minji's prescriptions without questions. Said it was family business. I have grandchildren in this city, a daughter who teaches at a school the Song family donates to, so you chose your safety over my baby's lives. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Mrs. Kong covered her face, shoulders shaking with sobs. Bliss wanted to rage, wanted to scream, but Chen's voice echoed in her mind. Asterisk strategy now. Grief later. Asterisk. She forced herself to breathe, to think. You said Mrs. Song came to you. Song's mother knew about the medication. Mrs. Kong nodded miserably. She planned it. Paid Minji to prevent you from having children. Said a foreign wife with Song children would be impossible to remove. But a foreign wife who couldn't produce an heir, she trailed off meaningfully. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The affair wasn't just betrayal, it was strategic. Keep Bliss isolated, dependent, childless. Eventually she'd leave voluntarily, or be divorced for failing to provide heirs. Then Song could marry Minji, the appropriate choice who'd been waiting in the wings all along. Why are you telling me this now? Bliss asked. Mrs. Kong looked up, her aged face ravaged by guilt. Because you're pregnant. Again. And yesterday Minji came asking for the same medications. Said it was urgent. I told her I was out of stock, but she'll find another pharmacy. Another way. Her voice broke. I can't watch her kill another baby. I can't. The words hit Bliss like physical blows. Minji knew. Somehow, Minji knew about the pregnancy and was already planning to end it. How does she know? Bliss whispered. I haven't told anyone except, she stopped. Mrs. Kang's phone call to Mrs. Song. The Korean Family Intelligence Network. Of course. I'm sorry, Mrs. Kong said desperately. I called Mrs. Song when you bought prenatal vitamins because she pays me to report on Song family matters. I didn't think. I'm so sorry. Bliss felt the walls closing in. Everyone knew. Everyone except Song, apparently. And Minji was already moving to eliminate the threat. I need everything, Bliss said suddenly, her voice steel. Every receipt. Every prescription Minji filled. Security footage if you have it. Text messages from Mrs. Song. Everything that proves what they did. Mrs. Kang's eyes widened. If they find out I gave you evidence, they're going to prison, Bliss interrupted. Both of them. Minji for murder. Mrs. Song for conspiracy. But only if you help me. Only if you finally do the right thing. They'll retaliate. They'll be in jail. Bliss leaned forward. Mrs. Kong, you have grandchildren. What happens when they're old enough to ask why you stayed silent when babies were being murdered? What do you tell them? That you were afraid. The pharmacist flinched like she'd been slapped. My daughter, Mrs. Kong whispered. I told you she divorced her husband in New York. I didn't tell you why. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos until she found one. A young woman with scars on her arms. Haunted eyes. He beat her. For 3 years. I knew. I said nothing because I was afraid of scandal, of family shame. By the time she left, she tried to kill herself twice. Tears streamed down the elderly woman's face. I failed my daughter by staying silent. I won't fail you. Not again. She moved to her computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. I keep duplicate records. Digital and physical. The Song family thinks I destroyed them, but a printer word to life. I'm old. I forget things, including how to delete files properly. Receipts began printing. Page after page. Minji's name. The medications. Dates that aligned perfectly with Bliss's pregnancies. Then text messages from Mrs. Song. Asterisk, ensure the problem is handled. The foreign woman must not carry to term. Whatever she needs, provide it. Asterisk, evidence. Beautiful, damning, prosecutable evidence. Security footage? Bliss asked, barely breathing. Mrs. Kong pulled up files. I keep 30 days rolling, but I archive anything unusual. Videos loaded. Minji at the counter. Mrs. Song in the back room, cash changing hands. Conversations in Korean about handling the American problem. I need copies of everything, Bliss said. And I need you to testify. I will. Mrs. Kang's hands shook as she transferred files to 3 USB drives. But you need to be careful. If Minji realizes if Mrs. Song's suspects are gathering evidence, they won't. Bliss pocketed the drives. I'm very good at playing weak. Mrs. Kong handed her a small bottle. Real prenatal vitamins. From sealed stock that only I've touched. Take them. Trust nothing that comes from your house. Nothing Minji gives you. Nothing. Why are you really helping me? Bliss asked quietly. The truth. Mrs. Kang's expression crumpled. Because my daughter survived her hell and built a new life. She's happy now. Free. I want that for you. And she touched her stomach meaningfully. I want that baby to have a chance I didn't give my grandchildren. A mother brave enough to fight back. Bliss felt something crack in her chest. She'd been so alone for so long, and here was this flawed, frightened woman offering what she had. Evidence, testimony, truth. Thank you, Bliss whispered. Thank me by winning. Mrs. Kong gripped her hands. Destroy them. All of them. For every woman they've crushed. Bliss left the pharmacy with 3 USB drives, a bottle of safe vitamins, and a testimony that would bury the Song family. Her phone buzzed. Chin got something? Bliss got everything. She walked toward the subway, and from the corner of her eye, she noticed him, a tall Western man in nondescript clothes, maintaining perfect distance. Marcus, her shadow, her protection. For the first time in 4 years, Bliss didn't feel alone. She felt dangerous. Hooked, right? What will happen next will shock you. Minji's text came at noon. Asterisk, can we meet? Please. I need to explain everything. Coffee at Dior Cafe. 3 p.m. Asterisk. Bliss stared at the message, rage simmering beneath her carefully maintained calm. The audacity of this woman, murdering her babies and now requesting a casual coffee chat at one of Gangnam's most Instagram-worthy locations. She texted back, okay, I'll be there, then immediately called Chun. She's reaching out. Chun sounded pleased. Perfect. Remember, single-party consent in Korea. You can record everything legally. The wire you gave me is undetectable. Looks like a pendant necklace. She'll never know. Chun paused. Bliss, this is your chance. Let her talk. Let her brag. Women like Minji can't resist gloating when they think they've won. Be vulnerable. Be broken. Give her exactly what she expects. And if I want to strangle her instead, suppress that urge for 2 more weeks. Then you can watch her get arrested. Much more satisfying. Bliss arrived at Dior Cafe 15 minutes early, wearing the wire beneath a simple black dress. She looked exhausted, which wasn't acting, and defeated, which was. Minji swept in precisely at 3, looking immaculate in Chanel, her hair perfectly styled, carrying a limited edition bag that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She smiled warmly, like they were still friends, like she hadn't been systematically murdering Bliss's children for years. You came, Minji said, sitting down with practiced grace. I wasn't sure you would. I don't have many friends here, Bliss said quietly, letting her voice crack slightly. Even after everything. I'm lonely. Perfect. Minji's expression softened with satisfaction. She'd always liked Bliss vulnerable. I know I hurt you, Minji began, ordering a cafe latte with oat milk. And I'm genuinely sorry. But you have to understand, Song and I have history. We knew each other before you existed in his world. How long? Bliss asked, playing the wounded wife perfectly. Since university, Minji's eyes went distant, nostalgic. We were supposed to be together. Everyone expected it. Our families, our friends. But his mother wanted him to expand internationally, make connections in America. That's when he met you. So, I was just a business strategy? You were an experiment. Minji said it so casually, like discussing the weather. The exotic American girlfriend who could help him navigate Western markets. But it wasn't supposed to be permanent. He was supposed to have his fun, learn what he needed, then come back to reality. To me. But he married me. Because you got pregnant. Minji's smile turned sharp. The first time, that forced his hand. His mother was furious. Bliss's hands clenched under the table. The first miscarriage was a blessing. Minji sipped her latte. For everyone involved, you weren't ready to be a Song family mother. You could barely navigate a department store without getting lost. How would you raise a Korean heir? The recording device captured every word, every casual admission of monstrosity. I tried so hard. Bliss whispered, letting tears fall. Real tears, but not for the reasons Minji thought. With the second pregnancy, I took those supplements you gave me, the ones from the traditional doctor. I thought those helped too. Minji interrupted, and Bliss's heart stopped. The supplements. They weren't from a doctor. They were from a very good pharmacy that understands discretion. There was confession. Clear. Recorded. Damning. You Bliss's voice shook. You gave me something to help you let go of pregnancies your body clearly couldn't handle. Minji reached across the table, taking Bliss's hand with manufactured sympathy. I know it sounds cruel, but Bliss, you were suffering. 2 miscarriages destroyed you. Imagine if you'd carried to term and then failed as a mother. The shame would have been worse. So, you were helping me? Bliss could barely get the words out. Exactly. Minji squeezed her hand. I was protecting you from his mother's expectations, from a role you could never fill. And she leaned forward conspiratorially. I was protecting what Song and I have, what we've always had. Love. The word tasted like poison. Partnership, understanding, cultural compatibility. Minji's expression turned almost pitying. You Americans think love conquers all. But here, love is knowing your place. Song needs a Korean wife who understands his world. I've been that for him while you played house. For 4 years. Since the beginning, Minji confirmed, completely oblivious to the trap she was walking into. Since I introduced myself at that gala. His mother arranged it. Paid me, actually. Well, not paid. That sounds so transactional. But she ensured my comfort. My discretion. She paid you to sleep with my husband. She paid me to be available when you inevitably failed. Minji released Bliss's hand, sitting back with satisfaction. And you did fail. Spectacularly. 2 dead babies. A husband who barely tolerates you. A mother-in-law who wishes you'd disappear. I almost felt sorry for you. Almost. You made it easy to hate you. Minji's mask slipped, showing something ugly beneath. Coming here with your American confidence, your natural hair and loud laugh, and complete disregard for how things are done. You thought being different made you special. It just made you foolish. Bliss felt the rage building, but channeled it into performance. You're right, she whispered. I've been so stupid, thinking I belonged here, thinking he loved me. Oh, Bliss. Minji's smile was almost genuine. He never loved you. He loved the idea of you, the rebellion, the novelty. But novelty expires. I'm forever. What happens now? Bliss asked, voice small and broken. Now. Minji tilted her head. Now you accept reality. Stay married if you want. Play the foreign wife for appearances. But know your place. No more babies. No more dreams of being a real Song family member. Just exist quietly until everyone forgets you were ever here. And if I can't accept that, Minji's expression turned cold. Then you leave. Quietly. With nothing. Because the alternative, she let the thread hang. Song's business associates aren't kind to problems that won't solve themselves. And you know too much to leave loudly. There it was. Threat. Conspiracy. All recorded. Bliss stood abruptly. I need to use the restroom. Of course. Minji waved dismissively, already checking her phone. Probably texting Song. Bliss locked herself in the bathroom stall and vomited. Morning sickness and horror in equal measure. She pressed her hand to her stomach, thinking about the baby growing there. The baby Minji would try to kill if given the chance. She washed her face, reapplied lipstick with shaking hands, and returned to the table. Better? Minji asked, not really caring. Yes. Bliss sat down, arranging her features into defeated acceptance. You're right. About everything. I've been fighting reality. It's exhausting. Finally. Minji looked relieved. I'm glad you're being sensible. We can actually be friends now. Real friends, without all the pretense. Thank you, Bliss said softly, for helping me see clearly. They finished their coffee, made small talk about nothing. Minji suggested lunch next week. Bliss agreed with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. When they parted with air kisses on the street, Minji looked satisfied. Victorious. Bliss walked 3 blocks, turned a corner, and collapsed against a building wall. Marcus appeared from nowhere, steady and professional. You okay? No, Bliss's whole body shook. But I did it. I got everything. Her phone buzzed. Chun, I'm listening to the recording now. Bliss, this is perfect. Criminal charges, civil suit, everything. We got her. Bliss texted back with trembling fingers. Good. Because I want her destroyed. Marcus handed her water. Your lawyer's right. That recording is prosecution gold. She killed my babies, Bliss whispered. And she's proud of it. Not for long. Marcus's expression was granite. 2 weeks. Then she pays. Bliss straightened, wiped her face, and started walking back toward the penthouse. Back to song. Back to playing the compliant wife. But inside, she was counting down. 14 days until detonation. Minji had no idea what was coming. If you happen to be in Bliss' position, would you have met up with Minji? The summons came via text from Mrs. Song's personal secretary. Mrs. Song requests your presence at the family estate tomorrow, 2 p.m. Attendance is mandatory, not an invitation, a command. Bliss showed the message to Chun over video call. She's making her move. Good. Chun was reviewing documents, multitasking as always. Remember, you're compliant, confused, desperate for approval. Let her feel powerful. Powerful people make mistakes. What if she tries something? Physically, Marcus will be outside the estate. You'll have the panic button I gave you. Chun looked up seriously. But Bliss, she won't hurt you. Not while you're pregnant with her grandchild. You're valuable now. She just doesn't realize that makes her vulnerable, not you. The Song family estate was in Songbuk Dong, where Seoul's oldest money lived behind walls that had witnessed centuries of power plays. Bliss had only been here 3 times, twice for holidays where she'd been displayed like an exotic pet, once for her father-in-law's funeral where Mrs. Song had made her sit in the back row. The house was traditional Korean architecture modernized with obscene wealth. Hanok style with heated floors, priceless artwork, and a garden that required 5 full-time gardeners. Bliss was escorted to Mrs. Song's private sitting room by a housekeeper who wouldn't meet her eyes. Mrs. Song sat in a silkon bak, drinking tea like a queen granting audience. She didn't stand when Bliss entered, didn't offer tea, just watched with eyes that calculated worth the way jewelers appraise stones. Sit, she commanded in Korean. Bliss sat, spine straight, hands folded, the perfect picture of submissive daughter-in-law. You've been busy, Mrs. Song observed. Meeting with lawyers. Having private conversations with that pharmacist. Did you think I wouldn't know? Bliss's heart hammered, but her face remained neutral. I don't know what you mean. Don't insult me with lies. Mrs. Song set down her tea with precise control. I've survived 50 years in this family by knowing everything. You consulted a lawyer. An American lawyer who specializes in international divorces. Mrs. Kong has been unusually nervous. And you've been asking questions. I'm trying to understand my options, Bliss said quietly. After everything with Song and Minji is not your concern. Mrs. Song's voice could have frozen water. She's a family matter. She's sleeping with my husband. She's fulfilling a role you've proven inadequate for. Mrs. Song leaned forward. But that's about to change, isn't it? You're pregnant. There was no point denying it. Yes. How far along? 7 weeks. Mrs. Song's expression flickered with something, calculation, concern, maybe fear. Does Song know? Not yet. Bliss watched carefully. I was waiting for the right time to tell him. After the last two were unfortunate. Mrs. Song interrupted smoothly. Too smoothly. But this time will be different. Will it? Bliss let vulnerability show. Because Minji gave me supplements last time. Said they'd help. They didn't. Mrs. Song's teacup paused halfway to her lips. Barely perceptible, but Bliss caught it. Confirmation. Minji meant well. Mrs. Song said carefully. Did she? Bliss's voice broke perfectly. Because after I lost the second baby, she cried with me. Held me. Told me I deserved better. The whole time she stopped, wiping fake tears. I don't understand any of this. You don't need to understand. You need to listen. Mrs. Song set down her cup with finality. I'm going to offer you something. A chance to secure your position in this family permanently. What kind of chance? I'll remove Minji from the situation. Completely. She'll leave Korea, leave Song alone. You'll have your husband back, raise your child in peace, and enjoy the benefits of being a Song family mother. Mrs. Song smiled, cold and transactional. In exchange, you forget everything you think you know. No lawyers, no questions, no investigations into family business. Bliss stared at her, stunned by the audacity. You're offering to get rid of your own accomplice? Mrs. Song's mask cracked slightly. What did you say? Minji told me everything. The lie came easily. How you arranged the affair. Paid her to keep me from having children so Song could eventually divorce me and marry someone appropriate. How you orchestrated my entire humiliation. The silence stretched like wire ready to snap. She told you this? Mrs. Song's voice was deadly quiet. At coffee yesterday, she thought I was broken enough to accept it. Bliss leaned forward, abandoning the submissive act. But here's what I don't understand. If you want me gone, why offer this deal now? Why protect me? Mrs. Song's jaw tightened. Because you're carrying my grandchild. So, was I the first 2 times? Those were different. Mrs. Song stopped herself, but too late. Different how? Bliss pressed. Different because Minji was supposed to prevent them from happening? Different because you paid her to make sure I never successfully gave Song an heir. You have no proof of I have recordings, Bliss lied smoothly, of Minji explaining everything. The supplements, the medications, your payments, all of it. Mrs. Song stood abruptly, color draining from her face. You're bluffing. Am I? Bliss pulled out her phone, opened a recording app, and played 5 seconds. Minji's voice saying his mother arranged it. Pay me, actually. Mrs. Song sank back down like her legs had given out. Here's what's going to happen. Bliss continued, channeling every ounce of rage into cold precision. You're not going to tell Song about this pregnancy. Not yet, because if you do, I send these recordings to prosecutors. And then everyone learns that the respectable Mrs. Song paid someone to murder her own grandchildren. You wouldn't dare try me. Bliss stood, looking down at the woman who'd made her life hell. I spent 4 years letting you treat me like garbage because I thought I had to earn my place. I was wrong. I never had to earn anything. You should have earned the privilege of having me in this family. You ungrateful. Mrs. Song's hand flew up. Bliss caught her wrist mid-swing. Hit me again, and I'll press charges. Unlike last time, I'm prepared now. Mrs. Song's eyes widened at the grip, the steel in Bliss's voice. Why haven't you told Song about the baby? Bliss asked. The truth. Mrs. Song's silence was damning. You haven't told him because he'd ask questions. When did you know? Why didn't you tell me immediately? And then he'd realize his mother knew his wife was pregnant and kept it secret while his mistress. Bliss smiled coldly. You're trapped. If you tell him now, you expose yourself. If you don't tell him, I control the narrative. What do you want? Mrs. Song's voice shook with barely contained fury. Time. Bliss released her wrist. 2 weeks. You stay silent. You don't warn Song or Minji that I'm gathering evidence. You don't interfere with my movements or contacts. And if I refuse, then I send everything to prosecutors today, and you can explain to your social circle why you're being investigated for conspiracy to commit forced abortion. Bliss headed for the door. Your choice. But choose fast. She walked past the housekeeper, through the immaculate garden, out the gate where Marcus waited by a car. How'd it go? He asked. She's terrified, Bliss said, hands shaking now that the performance was over, which means she's dangerous. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You're playing a dangerous game, foreign bitch. Some people don't survive this family. Bliss showed it to Marcus. He frowned. Mrs. Song, or someone she sent. Bliss got in the car. Doesn't matter. Let them try. But as they drove back to Gangnam, Bliss couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just made a powerful enemy even more desperate. And desperate people did desperate things. Bliss was reviewing legal documents with Chun via video call when the penthouse door burst open. Minji stormed in without knocking, fury radiating from every pore. Her perfect composure had shattered into something wild and dangerous. You manipulative bitch, Minji spat in Korean, then English like rage required both languages. Bliss closed her laptop calmly, though her heart raced. Excuse me? Mrs. Song told me everything. How you recorded our conversation. how you're threatening the family, how you think you can blackmail your way into keeping Song. Minji advanced into the living room like a predator. Did you really think I'd just let you destroy everything I've built? Built. Bliss stood slowly, strategically moving away from the stairs. You mean the affair you constructed on the corpses of my children? They weren't children. They were parasites. Failed pregnancies from a failed wife. Minji's voice climbed to a shriek. You were never supposed to carry to term, never supposed to become permanent. But I am pregnant, Bliss said quietly. Right now, which is why you're really here. Minji's expression twisted with hatred. Mrs. Song told me. 7 weeks. Like you're so special. Like this one will be any different than the others. It will be, because you won't get near me. Won't I? Minji pulled something from her designer purse, a small bottle. Pills. These are so easy to slip into drinks. Food. You'd never know until it was too late. Just like before. Bliss's blood ran cold, but she kept her voice steady. You're confessing to murder. In my home, where there are security cameras. Cameras Song controls. Minji smiled viciously. Cameras that will show exactly what I want them to show. An unfortunate accident. The clumsy foreign wife who fell down the stairs. So tragic. She moved closer. Bliss backed toward the hallway, away from the staircase, but also away from exits. Minji, think about what you're doing. I've thought about it for weeks. Minji's composure completely shattered. Watching you walk around playing victim. Poor Bliss. Betrayed Bliss. You want to know the truth? I've been with Song longer than you've been in this country. He was mine first. You were just an American adventure that lasted too long. Then why are you so threatened by me? The question landed like a bomb. Minji froze. If Song really loved you, Bliss continued, finding her courage. Why am I still his wife? Why'd he marry me? Put a ring on MY finger? Why does his name legally belong to me and not you? Because of this, Minji screamed, lunging forward with the pill bottle. Because you trapped him with pregnancies he didn't want. But I fixed it. Every time I fixed it. She grabbed Bliss's arm. They struggled. The pills scattered across the marble floor like evidence of attempted murder. Bliss had been taking self-defense classes with Marcus for the past week. Secretly, early mornings while Song slept. Now a muscle memory kicked in. She twisted her arm free, using Minji's momentum against her. Minji stumbled, caught herself, came at Bliss again, this time with nails aimed at her face. They collided hard. Furniture crashed. Expensive vases, actually expensive, not Joseon Dynasty but clothes shattered. Minji was screaming in Korean, incoherent with rage. Bliss defended herself with everything she had, thinking about her babies, about survival, about the life growing inside her that she'd protect at any cost. Minji's hand connected with Bliss's face, a stinging slap that brought tears. Bliss retaliated with a shove that sent Minji sprawling into the coffee table. The glass top cracked. Minji's arm took the impact, and she screamed, pain, not rage this time. That's when the elevator dinged. Song stepped into his penthouse to find his wife and his mistress in the wreckage of what looked like a war zone. Blood on Minji's arm from broken glass. Tears streaming down Bliss's face. Pills scattered everywhere like confetti from hell. What the fuck is happening? Song's voice cut through the chaos. She attacked me. Minji sobbed immediately, switching to victim mode with practiced ease. I came to apologize and she went crazy. Liar. Bliss's voice shook. She came here to... She stopped breathing hard. Chen's voice echoed in her mind. Let them bury themselves. To what? Song demanded, looking between them. Minji, desperate and panicking, made her fatal mistake. To stop her from lying about being pregnant. She's trying to trap you, Song. Just like before, she's making up pregnancies to manipulate you. Song's face went blank. What did you say? She's claiming she's pregnant. But she's lying. She's always lying. Minji's voice turned pleading. Unlike the other times when I made sure she lost them, the words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Song turned to stone. What did you just say? Minji's face drained of color as she realized what she'd admitted. I didn't mean that came out wrong the other times. Song's voice was deadly quiet. When you made sure, explain that. Right now. Song, please explain it. His roar echoed through the penthouse. Bliss watched the man she'd married transform into something she'd only heard about in whispered conversations. The song who made people disappear. The criminal who'd built an empire on fear. The supplements, Bliss said quietly. The ones Minji gave me during both pregnancies. They weren't vitamins. They were abortion medication. Song's gaze snapped to Minji. Is that true? It was for the best, Minji whispered, tears streaming. She wasn't right for this family. The babies would have complicated everything. Song moved so fast Bliss almost missed it. His hand around Minji's throat, backing her against the wall. Not choking, yet but promising violence with every taut muscle. You kill my children? His voice was ice and murder. My children. Song, please. Minji clawed at his hand. Your mother. She planned it. She paid me. Another grenade. Song's hand loosened slightly. My mother knew. She arranged everything. Minji was sobbing now, words tumbling out in self-preservation. The affair. The medication. Keeping Bliss isolated. It was all her plan. To make Bliss leave so you could marry me like you were supposed to. Song released her like she was contaminated. Minji crumpled to the floor. He turned to Bliss, and she saw something she'd never seen before. Uncertainty. Maybe even shame. You're pregnant? He asked. Right now. Bliss's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. Yes. How long have you known? 2 weeks. Why didn't you tell me? Bliss laughed, a broken, bitter sound. Why would I? You told me if I couldn't handle you sleeping with my best friend, I should leave. Why would I trust you with information about a baby when I couldn't trust you with my heart? Song's jaw worked. He looked at Minji, still crying on the floor. Then at the pills scattered everywhere. Then at his wife, bruised and trembling but standing. Get out, he said to Minji. Song, please, get out. His voice could have shattered windows. Before I do something I won't regret. Minji scrambled up, grabbing her purse, running for the elevator. The doors closed on her terrified face. Silence filled the penthouse. Song and Bliss stared at each other across the wreckage of their marriage, their lies, their losses. Did you know? Bliss asked. About the pills? No, Song's voice was hollow. I swear to God, Bliss. I didn't know. But you knew about the affair. About your mother's plans. I knew she didn't approve of you. I didn't know she'd. He stopped, looking physically ill. My own mother kill my children? And pay my best friend to do it. Bliss felt tears coming and didn't stop them. Everyone in your family destroyed me, Song. Systematically. While I loved you. While I tried to fit into a world that never wanted me. Song sank onto the couch, head in his hands. Bliss's phone buzzed. Chun, police are on the way. Building security called about the disturbance. I told them to come. Time to make this official. Bliss looked at Song, the man she'd loved, the monster she'd married, the stranger sitting in their destroyed living room. The police are coming, she said quietly. Song looked up. What did you do? What I should have done 3 years ago. Bliss pulled out her phone, showing him the lawyer's messages. The evidence files. Everything. I'm taking my life back. The police arrived within 15 minutes. Chin arrived in 20, striding into the penthouse like he owned it, briefcase in hand and legal authority radiating from every pore. Mrs. Washington, he said pointedly, using her maiden name. Are you injured? Minor bruises. Bliss showed the officers her face where Minji had struck her, her arm where she'd been grabbed. But I'm fine. You're not fine, Chin corrected. You're 7 weeks pregnant and were just physically assaulted by a woman who confessed to causing your previous miscarriages. Officer Kim, I have recordings of said confession, plus pharmacy records, testimonies, and security footage from this building showing Ms. Park entering with clear aggressive intent. The lead officer's eyebrows rose. You have evidence prepared? I'm thorough. Chun produced a tablet, pulling up files with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. 2 counts of forced abortion under Korean criminal law. Attempted assault today. Conspiracy with Mrs. Song Sr. to systematically harm my client. We're filing charges immediately. Song sat silently through all of it, watching Bliss like he was seeing her for the first time. Maybe he was. Mr. Song. Officer Kim addressed him. You're the husband? Yes. Song's voice was hollow. Were you aware of Ms. Park's actions regarding your wife's pregnancies? No. Song looked at Bliss when he said it. I swear I didn't know. The affair, yes. That was real. But the rest, he stopped, jaw clenched. I want to press charges too. Those were my children. Chen's expression flickered with surprise, but he recovered quickly. Noted, that strengthens the case considerably. Within an hour, officers had left to pick up Minji. Chen had filed emergency protective orders, and Bliss was giving her formal statement, Chen beside her, ensuring every word was documented. Song called his mother. The conversation was in rapid Korean, but Bliss caught enough. Betrayal, lies, grandchildren, unforgivable. It ended with Song saying, I'll deal with you later, and hanging up. He turned to Bliss. My mother's lawyers will fight this. Let them. Chen smiled coldly. We have everything. Recordings, documents, witnesses, pharmacy records spanning 4 years. Mrs. Song Sr. orchestrated a conspiracy to commit forced abortion and attempted murder. She's looking at 8 to 10 years minimum. Song flinched. She's my mother. She killed your children, Bliss said quietly. Both of them. On purpose. Because I wasn't Korean enough for her standards. The words hung between them, like smoke from burned bridges. I'm sorry, Song said finally. For everything. The affair. Not protecting you. Being blind too. He gestured helplessly at the wreckage around them. Sorry doesn't bring them back. I know. Song stood, walked to the window, overlooking Seoul. What happens now? Now. Chun closed his briefcase with finality. Now Mrs. Washington files for divorce. The prenup is void due to your adultery and concealment of criminal activity. She'll receive full custody of the child, substantial child support, alimony, and a settlement that reflects the trauma she's endured. I won't fight it, Song said. Bliss stared at him. What? The divorce? The custody? Any of it? Song turned, and his face was ravaged. You're right. About everything. I destroyed you. Let my family destroy you. The least I can do is not make this harder. You're just agreeing? What else can I do? Song's laugh was bitter. My mother paid your best friend to murder our children. I cheated on you for 4 years. I told you to leave if you couldn't handle it. Like your pain was an inconvenience. What possible argument could I make that I deserve anything from you? Bliss felt tears streaming down her face. Grief, rage, relief, all tangled together. For what it's worth, Song continued quietly, I did love you. In my own broken, selfish way. I just love my comfort more. My family's approval more. Tradition more. He wiped his own eyes. I'm sorry I wasn't the man you deserved. Chun cleared his throat. This is very touching, but we have paperwork to file. Mrs. Washington needs rest. She's pregnant and has been through trauma. Song nodded. The penthouse is yours. I'll stay elsewhere. Whatever you need, money, security, anything, it's yours. I don't want anything from you, Bliss said. You're getting anyway. Child support starts immediately. And Song pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. I'm transferring funds to your personal account. Enough to leave Korea if you want. Start over somewhere safe. Bliss's phone dinged. The amount made her dizzy. Song, it's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's a start. He headed for the door, then paused. I hope, for what it's worth, I hope you have a healthy baby. That you find someone who deserves you. That you forget I exist. Then he left. Bliss stood in the wreckage of her penthouse, her marriage, her entire life, and realized she was free. 6 months later, Bliss sat in her new Chicago apartment, hand on her swollen belly, watching snow fall over Lake Michigan. The view was nothing like Seoul's glittering skyline. It was better. Her phone rang. Chun. Final update, he said cheerfully. Minji, 15 years for 2 counts of forced abortion and attempted assault. Mrs. Song, 8 years for conspiracy and attempted murder. Song, 25 years for money laundering, racketeering, and ties to organized crime. Bliss's hand stilled. 25 years. Turns out when prosecutors started digging into his finances, they found a lot more than expected. He's cooperating, which reduced his sentence from life to 25. He'll be 60 when he gets out. Chun paused. He asked me to tell you he's glad you're safe. Bliss didn't know what that was. Complicated. Yes. Chen's voice softened. How are you feeling? Huge. Tired. Happy. Bliss looked around her apartment, modest compared to the penthouse, but entirely hers. Free. Good. You deserve that. Papers rustled. Child support is set up automatically. He signed over all parental rights voluntarily. You never have to see him again. Thank you, James. For everything. Thank you for trusting me. And Bliss. Chen's smile was audible. Congratulations on your daughter. Due in 3 weeks, right? 2, actually. Doctor moved it up. Bliss touched her belly. She's impatient, already causing trouble. She gets that from her mother. Chen laughed. The good kind of trouble. After they hung up, Bliss sat watching the snow, thinking about the woman she'd been, desperate for approval, willing to shrink, accepting crumbs, and calling it love. That woman was gone, burned away in Seoul's neon lights, and rebuilt in Chicago's honest cold. Her daughter kicked hard, and Bliss smiled. You're going to have the life I should have demanded for myself, she whispered. You're going to know your worth from day one, and anyone who tries to diminish you. She thought about Minji in prison, Mrs. Song in disgrace, Song behind bars. Well, Mama knows how to fight back now. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. Asterisk nursery's ready. Can't wait to meet my grandbaby. Asterisk. Bliss smiled, texting back hearts and gratitude. She'd crossed an ocean for a man who didn't deserve her, but she'd crossed back for herself. And that made all the difference. Outside, Chicago sparkled with possibility. Inside, Bliss Washington felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. 3 years later, Bliss Washington published a memoir titled From Soul to Soul: How I Escaped a Gilded Cage. It became an international bestseller, helping countless women recognize and escape toxic relationships. Her daughter, Maya Grace Washington, grew up knowing her mother was a warrior. Song served his sentence quietly. Minji and Mrs. Song remain incarcerated. And Bliss? She remarried eventually, to a kind man from her Chicago neighborhood who treated her daughter like his own and her past like something that made her stronger, not broken. Some fairy tales end with marriage. The best ones end with freedom. What did you learn from Bliss's story? Drop a comment below if you believe in the power of women who refuse to stay silent. Hit subscribe if you stand with survivors who chose themselves over staying in beautiful lies. Only people like Song, Minji, and Mrs. Song who think abuse is acceptable won't subscribe. And if this story taught you that being underestimated is the ultimate advantage, comment, I stand with Bliss below. Let's build a community that celebrates women who fight back strategically, fiercely, and victoriously.